Hi, thanks again for joining us at the 2021 Sloan Sports Analytics Conference Competitive Advantage Talks, presented by Kager, also known as Craft Analytics Group. My name is Emily Johnson, and I'm a first-year MBA student at MIT Sloan. It's my pleasure to introduce our presentation, SailGP is Tacking to Better Performance Using Oracle Cloud, brought to you by Oracle. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, Joey Fitz, Vice President of Analytics Product Strategy at Oracle, to the stage.
Thanks, Emily. Let's jump right in.
3, 2, 1.
A brand new sailing adventure.
1 minute 35. What are you thinking? 8, 7, flag it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Looks like they're gone. No, the tip of the wing is in the water.
It doesn't get any more extreme than that.
Right on it, straight over the top of Japan. That is very close once again. Draper just getting thrown out of his position there.
Still plenty to play for him. Here we go, boys.
They are coming down here in an absolute beauty of a gust.
Oh, GBR's capsized.
It's time to get up and party. Australia is the 2019 SailGP champion.
It's wonderful to be here today. My name is Joey Fitz, and it's exciting to present at the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. Today, I'm going to be talking about SailGP. You just saw some highlights of the experience, and I'm going to tell you more about what all's happening to bring that experience about. SailGP was co-founded by Larry Ellison, and there were three primary objectives with SailGP. One was to showcase these epic battles that occur on the water in these sailing races. Additionally, to highlight the technological innovation that's present across the entire race, as you will see today. And finally, to create a highly compelling fan experience so we could build a thriving community across the globe. So let me take you through the numbers of SailGP to orient you a bit to what this is. There are 8 national teams. So each of these teams representing their respective country. They sail in 10 different races in beautiful, iconic locations across the globe in a Grand Prix style. And it's winner take all, ultimately with $1 million prize. I want to take a little bit of time here to explain this last metric of one design racing class. So different sports optimize for success in different ways and create different forms of competition. In many sports, you can build a better mousetrap. You can have a faster race car, and the team can innovate in that regard. For SailGP, there's a single standard, highly innovative class of vessels that is leveraged by every team. And the innovation is done by SailGP in continuing to innovate with that vessel, but the teams compete really solely relying on their insights, their capabilities, skills, athleticism, and their teamwork. So it's a different construct optimized for a different level of competition, and you're going to see how the transparency fosters a better competition. I'll take you through that today. So what is this boat that is leveraged? The style is a catamaran, and catamarans just mean a catamaran is just a multi-hull vessel. So having the 2 pontoons and an area to walk across or to hold people as they ride on the boat. Catamarans date back to thousands of years, over 3,000 years that catamarans have been on the globe, and primarily in the Indian and Pacific Oceans to foster the migration of populations. This that you're seeing right now is a depiction from an artist in the 1800s of a Fijian thumacao, and that thumacao had a larger vessel called Undrua, and the Undrua could host a crew of 50 members and also transport over 100 people. So those migrations that I was describing, this is one application of that vessel, but additionally it could be warriors. So over 100 warriors that could be transported on these large catamarans. So the catamaran vessel type has been useful for humans for centuries, perhaps in your own life, in the more recent term, as a child, or perhaps over the weekend, if you still go out and take a Hobie cat like this out on the water for some recreational sailing. What we'll be talking about today with the catamaran is something very, very different, and that is the F50 catamaran, a highly, highly innovative design that's used as the standard for SailGP. Let me take you through some of the key elements of the F50 catamaran. So first of all, instead of a sail, it has a wing, and the 24-meter wing is used when there are low winds, and if there's higher winds, the 18-meter wing is used. It doesn't take much wind for these boats to really get moving. They're incredibly efficient and performant. They fly across the water, and I mean that not only in that they're moving quickly, but also that they're elevated. So the foils and the rudders, actually, it's raised up so that the boat is above the water as it traverses the water. So it's moving in a more aerodynamic fashion and an incredibly high rate of speed. So 50 knots, which is the equivalent of 60 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour. In fact, it's so fast that the aerodynamics around the foil, the water actually boils there from how quickly it's clipping through the water. In addition to this design innovation, there's also technological innovation, which I said was one of the objectives for SailGP. An incredible amount of technology, innovative technology deployed. I'll take you through some of those now. Across a single boat and its crew of 5 members, over 1,000 sensors are deployed, and this is capturing information such as the wind speed, the boat speed, the height of the waves, the temperature of the water, the depth of the foil or the angle of the rudder, all of this information about what's going on with the boat and the environment that the boat is navigating. Additionally, the crew, biometric data is captured for the crew as well. They have a very stressful job, as you can imagine. These are very, very large boats, and you're out there on the open sea, and they can flip over. It can be dangerous. So executing at these speeds out on the water to make a turn, you have to drop that dagger board, for example, to be able to execute a very efficient turn. And the turns are where a lot of the details matter, and where races can get won. So it's really important that you do that effectively, and it requires the crew to be able to coordinate and orchestrate their actions to be able to execute efficiently and quickly. So when you make a turn and you drop that dagger board and you're cutting a quick turn, the crew needs to get to the other side of the vessel, and that's a very orchestrated and elaborate maneuver. Being able to keep track of their stress levels, their heart rate, their blood pressure, these are important biometrics to capture as well. All in all, for a single boat and its 5-person crew, over 30,000 data points are captured every single second. And given the dynamic nature of the environment with the wind and the water and the changing competitive environment based on what other teams are doing and navigating around the elements and hitting the marks, there's a lot going on, and a lot of that needs to be managed in real time, because you need to take action. This is where the difference is made, leveraging these insights to take action. So we employ the streaming analytics architecture, Oracle Streaming Analytics, and we also leverage the autonomous data warehouse to capture the historical data, and that's additionally for training data in the future, et cetera, insights that can be generated there. It's a real cutting edge system. I want to go through a few of the architectural components here. We leverage a proprietary wireless network, first of all, that we get set up for every single race that we run. And we enhance data to this streaming architecture in a few different ways. One of those aspects is geospatial data. So being able to understand the location of the boats and their trajectory across the water, across different objects as well. The contextual data that we add is benchmark data. So being able to understand how the boats relate to each other and other objects, and understanding how turns were executed at what speed, the time of the turn for one team versus another, and benchmarking that. And then finally, the machine learning models are operationalized here as well, so that predictions and forecasts can be made in the moment. When you have frequently changing data that is at this speed, and when decisions have to be made at this speed as well, it's really critical that your forecasting and modeling is occurring in a very rapid fashion as well, and you can operationalize it. So a very very complex and highly efficient architecture that's deployed here to make all this work. There are over 44 billion data requests across the full day of action. So a race is about the same time as this presentation, about 20 minutes. But when you take into account the full day sessions, that's the practices that occur at the beginning and all the races, you end up with 44 billion data requests. So it just shows you how much data is needed here by all the various constituents. I also want to underscore the speed. So I mentioned the proprietary wireless network. There's also a helicopter involved that's transmitting that data to data centers. Last year, the London and Sydney data centers were leveraged primarily, and round trip from the boat to the data centers so that folks can use that data, it only took 150 milliseconds. So that's faster than actually the blink of an eye. And that's important because for the stakeholders, the action's happening at that speed too. And the stakeholders are everybody here. It's not just the coaches, the crew, the umpires. It's off the water as well with the fans, the broadcasters. All of this streaming data is important for everybody to know what's going on and to be able to get inside the game and understand it better in terms of what's happening, if you will. This is something that is critical for the coaching and navigation. You know, the crew members have their hands full. There's visual and auditory. They've got headsets on, so they can communicate and get information that way as well. But being able to leverage these insights in the moment and take action is critical, as well as the information that's available after the matches to be able to see what happened and understand different tactics that could have been employed, et cetera. This is interesting to me with sports analytics, as I'm sure it is to many of the people here today. It's similar to business analytics in that you inevitably come across interesting language of what those key performance indicators are, or the metrics that really matter to know if you're tracking in the right path, if you're on your way to victory or not. What are these leading indicators that you can follow to understand if you're heading in the right direction, if you will? And in business, this can be your return on investment, ROI, your average revenue per user, your ARPU, your monthly active users, your churn, et cetera. Within sailing, I'll just share one of them that I found very interesting. I'm not a sailor, but like many of you who work in sports analytics, as you work across different sports, you learn about what to optimize for and what can you take advantage of from an information standpoint to give you a competitive advantage with decisions that you can make that increase your likelihood of success and victory. So one of those within sailing is one called velocity made good, or VMG. And velocity made good is I'll explain it real quickly. It's really about angles and wind, like everything with sailing, angles and wind, but also speed and distance. So when you are trying to get to, say, to a destination up here at the top of the screen that's shown, you could jib and leverage more of that wind to give you a faster speed. So now the boat is traveling faster on the water, but you have more distance to cover. Because you're going further away from your ultimate destination. So more distance, but faster speed. Alternatively, you could tack and go upwind, and now you have a headwind to contend with, so you go slower. So your distance that you have to cover is a lot shorter, but you're going a lot slower. So what you'd like to know is the optimal VMG. You'd like to know what's the balance of these that can best indicate my most efficient and effective, quick time to my destination to win this race. It's not just speed, it's not just distance. It's having to account for both of those to be able to measure VMG, it's actually pretty straightforward. You multiply the speed of the vehicle by the vessel by the cosine of the angle to the wind. And that gives you your VMG. For optimal VMG, it's something that you don't just take a snapshot of once. You need this throughout this continuously changing environment. So an interesting measure among many that are tracked within the sailing sports analytics world. I want to call out another important differentiator for SailGP, and that is what we refer to as the leveling of the sailing field. Everyone has access to the data. There's no data secrets. So all competitive data is shared across the 8 teams, and this provides a number of benefits. One is the community that we want to create, an understanding by the participants that you're contributing data and you're getting data, and that's all going to be available. So you'll be able to, everyone will know how high Great Britain's boat is traveling above the water and what their ride height is. And you'll also be able to understand the angle of Japan's rudder. Whatever it may be, it's all visible to everyone. So this also allows for heightened learning, because you're not only learning from your own experiences and your own data, and it's not only you improving, but instead you're learning from other people's data and their experiences. So everyone is improving. So we can all see the data for how Denmark was able to execute that magnificent maneuver on the turn, and we can all learn from it. So the data is all available. In this way, the sport is maturing more quickly. It's advancing more quickly because everyone is benefiting from everyone's experience here. Beyond the benefits to those who are participating in the race, the other participants are those off the water. It's the fans and the broadcasters. And for this, we need to create a highly compelling fan experience. As I mentioned, that's one of the key objectives for SailGP, and SailGP's done a tremendous job of it. So to do that, a number of things get implemented to augment the understanding of what's going on. Not everybody knows much necessarily about sailing, and even if you do, there's ways to enhance that experience for the fan and for the audience. So applying grid lines helps to explain the course and the trajectory of the boats, how close they are to each other, their proximity, their speed, how far they are from their next mark, the next thing that they're going to execute. And as you enable a better, clearer understanding of what's happening with these 8 boats that are flying across the water, it helps the fan to appreciate more about the competition and the tactics being employed and the strategies. And this is often what broadcasters are looking for. They're looking for that additional bit of information that makes the race very appealing and enticing, to be able to understand, why is this team taking this tactic, and what is this strategy that they employed, and how do I, create additional color and insight around that to bring people into the race, to make them feel like they're a part of the action, to appreciate the tension that's occurring right now as these 2 different boats are taking these competing tactics to achieve the outcome. So creating that tension and fostering that enthusiasm is an important thing. In business, this is often with analytics just a buy or sell, a 1 or a 0, an A or a B. It's just a focus on the outcome and the decision that's made. But within sports analytics, you're really looking to tell an intriguing narrative. It's more focused on entertainment. So how can you bring folks into the experience and make it much more engaging for them? And broadcasters are always looking for that extra nugget that provides more color or context or insight or heightens the experience. SailGP's done a great job at this, and in fact won an award at the International Broadcasting Convention Innovation Awards. SailGP was one of the winners who took home an award. So a great fan experience that's being created here. The fan experience is obviously fantastic if you're there in person, if you can make it to one of these iconic locations and enjoy seeing the action on the boats, on the water, the speed and the excitement. But if you can't be there, you can still experience the broadcast in the palm of your hand on a phone or a device. It's a real-time broadcast. You get the real-time stats that are streaming. You can actually switch between camera feeds on the boat and feel the action that's occurring on the boat. You can also see head-to-head comparisons, choose which boats you want to follow and see how they're stacking up side by side to each other in terms of their speed and their navigation across the water in the race. Let me show you a little bit of that action here. Okay, let's talk about some of the future innovations that we'll be bringing soon and excited to share. So we're working on tracking, which is using Oracle AI and streaming analytics to evaluate 40 KPIs to rate in real time each team's tack. So this makes it much more visible on what the teams are doing as they navigate through the course. There's a wind project. We already capture the wind speed information, and we have those on buoys and on boats to capture that information. But to be able to understand and model that with wind maps is something that we're looking forward to sharing to better indicate the relationship between the wind and the water and how it's impacting the environment. So those wind maps are something we're excited about. There's tactical data that happens throughout the course of a race that we want to make sure we call out and make very visible to the other teams who are competing. When someone rounds the first buoy or someone makes a very wide turn, that information is communicated to the other boats so they know important events that are happening throughout the race. An exciting area we're focused on is the simulator. The simulator is leveraging Oracle Cloud to virtually race cloud-based vessel simulations. So think of this as somewhat akin to a flight simulator, but this is a sailing simulator. So you can get that experience with the similar dynamics of the conditions that maybe in this case in the San Francisco Bay race. So you can learn and train on that as well. So it's a great training environment and a great training mechanism. It also leverages a lot of the AI power to be able to better understand what an optimal path may look like and how you deviated from that and where there are tactical and strategic decisions that can be made differently to optimize your outcomes. So wonderful training environments, including the simulations, being able to complete with simulations in the future as well. So exciting stuff coming. Also, Season 2 kicks off this month. So if you're in Bermuda, you can see the first race, the Bermuda Grand Prix. It's on the 24th and 25th of April of this month. So if you can be there in person, take in the action in the beautiful location. If you can't, just download the app and you too will get that real-time experience right in the palm of your hand. So thank you very much for taking the time to allow me to share the story of SailGP. My contact information is here. Reach out, and I look forward to continuing our conversation together. One more thing. We're very excited about our new partnership with Red Bull Racing. So Oracle will continue to innovate in the realm of sports analytics. There's a lot to come, so stay tuned. You won't want to miss it.